In the heart of Ontario, where hockey isn't just a sport but a way of life, young Bobby Orr was about to start a journey that would revolutionize the game. But at this moment, he was just a boy who loved to skate. Bobby's story begins like many Canadian hockey tales, with a father's dream and a child's natural talent. Doug, or Bobby's father, worked as a food inspector at the local Swift Premium plant, often putting in long hours to support his family. But he always found time for Bobby's hockey. Every morning, while most of Parry Sound was still asleep, Doug would wake his son at 5:30 a.m. for practice. The frozen bay became their personal training ground, where father and son would work on skating, stick handling, and shooting before the sun came up. Doug wasn't a pushy parent trying to live out his dreams through his son. Instead, he recognized something rare in Bobby, a natural ability that seemed almost magical. Even at age 5, Bobby showed an understanding of the game that amazed adults. He could see plays developing before they happened, and his skating was so smooth it looked like he was floating above the ice. When Bobby first joined organized hockey, he was the youngest player on the team, but that didn't matter. Playing against boys 2 or 3 years older, he stood out not just for his size or lack of it, but for his incredible skill. Local coaches quickly realized they weren't dealing with an ordinary young player. Bobby had a way of controlling the game that seemed impossible for someone his age. In Parry Sound, hockey wasn't just entertainment, it was the heart of the community. Every weekend, families would gather at the local rink to watch their children play. But when Bobby was on the ice, something changed. Parents would stop their conversations to watch. Other kids would pause their warm-ups. There was something different about the way this young boy played the game. By the time he was 12, Bobby wasn't just the best player in Parry Sound. He was being talked about across Ontario. Scouts from junior hockey teams started showing up at his games, sitting in the cold rinks, watching this young player who seemed to know where the puck was going before anyone else did. They'd never seen a young defenseman play the way Bobby did. While other defensemen stayed back and protected their goal, Bobby would take the puck and rush up the ice, creating plays that left everyone amazed. For the Orr family, these early years weren't about creating a hockey superstar. They were about a father supporting his son's passion, a mother making sure her boys stayed grounded despite all the attention, and a community coming together to watch one of their own discover his gift. None of them knew it yet, but they were watching the beginning of a revolution in hockey, a revolution that would start right here on the frozen waters of Georgian Bay. In these early years, Bobby was building more than just hockey skills. He was developing the character and work ethic that would serve him throughout his career. Every early morning practice, every extra hour on the ice, every game against bigger and older players, it was all preparing him for what was to come. The boy from Parry Sound was about to change hockey forever. But for now, he was just doing what he loved most, playing the game. By 1962, word about the young phenom from Parry Sound had spread throughout the hockey world. What happened next would change the course of hockey history. The Boston Bruins weren't just looking for a good player. They were desperate for a savior. The once proud team had fallen on hard times, missing the playoffs year after year. When Bruins scout Ren Blair first saw 14-year-old Bobby Orr play, he couldn't believe his eyes. That very night, he called the Bruins management and said, "I've just seen a boy who's going to be a great player." Within days, the Bruins signed Bobby to a junior contract, making him the youngest player ever to sign with an NHL team. For the next few years, Bobby played junior hockey with the Oshawa Generals, but everyone knew his real destination was Boston. The city buzzed with excitement. Newspapers ran stories about the teenage defenseman who was going to save the Bruins. They called him the next great one, though no one yet understood just how great he would become. Finally, in 1966, at just 18 years old, Bobby Orr put on the black and gold Bruins jersey for the first time. The Boston Garden was packed that night. Everyone wanted to see if this kid was worth all the hype. From his very first shift, it was clear they were watching something special. Bobby wasn't just good. He was playing hockey in a way no one had ever seen before. Most defensemen at that time stayed back near their own goal, rarely crossing into the offensive zone. But Bobby was different. He would grab the puck behind his own net and suddenly take off, skating through the entire opposing team. He had the speed of a forward, the strength of a defenseman, and the creativity of an artist. Opposition players didn't know how to handle him. They'd never seen a defenseman who could attack like this. The hockey world was stunned. Coaches who had been in the game for decades watched in amazement as this teenager rewrote the rules of how a defenseman should play. Some old-timers complained that he was playing the position wrong, that he was taking too many risks. But the fans loved it. Every time Bobby touched the puck, the crowd would rise to their feet, knowing they might see something amazing. In his first season, Bobby scored 13 goals and added 28 assists. Incredible numbers for a rookie defenseman. But it wasn't just about the statistics. He brought excitement back to Boston hockey. The Bruins, who had been drawing small crowds, suddenly had a full arena every night. People who had never watched hockey before were becoming fans just to see Bobby Orr play. His teammates were amazed by his skill, but they were even more impressed by his humility. Despite all the attention, Bobby remained the same quiet kid from Perry Sound. He worked harder than anyone else in practice, stayed late to sign autographs for young fans, and always credited his teammates for his success.
We'd never seen anything like him. He could control an entire game by himself. But the amazing thing was he had no ego about it. He just wanted to help the team win.
As Bobby's first NHL season came to an end, one thing was clear: hockey would never be the same. The position of defenseman, which had always been about stopping the other team, was now becoming an offensive weapon. Young players across Canada started copying his style, dreaming of being the next Bobby Orr. The revolution had begun, and there was no turning back. But this was just the beginning. No one could have predicted the incredible heights Bobby would reach in the coming years, or the price he would pay for his revolutionary style of play. The legend of Bobby Orr was just getting started, and the best was yet to come. The years between 1970 and 1975 weren't just Bobby Orr's best years. They were perhaps the greatest period any hockey player has ever had. But success came with a price that would change his life forever. May 10th, 1970 is a date every hockey fan knows. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Boston Bruins against the St. Louis Blues. The game was tied in overtime when Bobby took the puck. What happened next became the most famous moment in hockey history. Bobby flew through the air after scoring the winning goal, looking like Superman in a hockey uniform. That single photo, known simply as the goal, captured everything magical about Bobby Orr: his skill, his courage, and his complete dedication to winning. But that magical moment was just part of an incredible run. In the 1970-71 season, Bobby did something that seemed impossible. He led the entire NHL in scoring. Remember, he was a defenseman. That's like a baseball pitcher leading the league in home runs. Nobody thought a defenseman could do that. But Bobby scored 139 points that season, beating out all the forwards. He didn't just break records, he shattered them. During these years, Bobby won 8 straight Norris trophies as the NHL's best defenseman. He won 3 straight Hart trophies as the league's most valuable player. The numbers were staggering, but they don't tell the whole story. When Bobby was on the ice, magic could happen at any moment. Fans wouldn't leave their seats when he was playing. They didn't want to miss what he might do next.
Playing against Bobby was like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You knew what he was going to do, but you still couldn't stop him. He was that good.
But beneath all this success, there was trouble brewing. Bobby's style of play, the rushing, the sudden turns, the physical battles, was taking a toll on his knees. By 1971, he had already had several knee operations. The doctors warned him that his aggressive style was causing serious damage, but Bobby couldn't play any other way. He only knew one way to play, all out, every shift. At home, the constant pain and pressure began affecting his personal life. Bobby was still the same humble person from Perry Sound, but now he was dealing with fame, endorsement deals, and the weight of being the NHL's biggest star. Through it all, his wife Peggy helped keep him grounded, and his growing family gave him peace away from the rink. The relationship with the Bruins management also became complicated. They wanted to protect their star player, sometimes suggesting he play a safer style. But Bobby couldn't change. His revolutionary style wasn't just how he played, it was who he was. Every game, he gave everything he had, even as his knees got worse. By 1975, Bobby Orr had changed hockey forever. But the toll of his revolutionary style was becoming clear. The greatest defenseman in hockey history was about to face his toughest battle yet, one that wouldn't be played on ice. Each game became a struggle between his incredible skill and his failing knees. He needed pain injections just to get on the ice. But even at 80% health, Bobby Orr was still the best player in hockey. He refused to complain or make excuses. He just kept playing his heart out, giving Boston fans everything he had. These were the golden years, a time when one player lifted an entire sport to new heights. Bobby Orr didn't just master hockey, he reimagined what was possible on the ice. But as these years came to an end, the big question wasn't about records or championships anymore. The question was, how much longer could his knees hold up? The answer would come sooner than anyone wanted, and it would break the hearts of hockey fans everywhere. Some players leave their mark on hockey through statistics, others through championships. Bobby Orr did both, but his real legacy was bigger. He changed how the game itself was played. By the time Bobby Orr left hockey in 1979, the position of defenseman had completely changed. Young players weren't just trying to stop goals anymore. They wanted to score them too. In every rink across North America, kids were trying to copy Bobby's end-to-end rushes. The position he revolutionized had become one of hockey's most exciting aspects. Today, when you watch players like Erik Karlsson or Victor Hedman carry the puck up the ice, you're seeing Bobby Orr's influence. Modern defensemen are expected to join the attack, to be part of the offense. That all started with Bobby. He showed that a defenseman could be more than just a guardian of the goal. They could be a game changer. The numbers tell an amazing story. 915 points in just 657 games. 8 straight seasons as the league's best defenseman. 2 Stanley Cups. But maybe the most impressive thing is that he scored 270 goals as a defenseman in an era when defensemen just didn't score goals. These records become even more remarkable when you remember that knee injuries forced him to retire at age 30, when most players are in their prime.
Bobby Orr didn't just play hockey, he created art on ice. He saw possibilities that no one else could see. Every defenseman who plays an offensive style today owes something to Bobby Orr.
But Bobby's impact went beyond just hockey. In Boston, he became more than a sports star. He was family. He never forgot his small-town roots, always making time for fans, especially children. He started foundations to help kids play hockey, believing every child should have the chance to love the game like he did. After retiring, Bobby didn't disappear from hockey. He became a mentor to young players, teaching them not just about hockey skills, but about character and humility. He worked as a player agent, helping new generations of players navigate the professional hockey world he knew so well. Back in Parry Sound, they built a museum in his honor. The Bobby Orr Hall of Fame isn't just about trophies and statistics. It's about inspiring young players to dream big, just like a small-town boy once did. The town where it all began never forgot their favorite son, and Bobby never forgot his roots. Today, when you visit the frozen bay in Parry Sound, you might see young players practicing their moves on the same ice where Bobby Orr first learned to skate. They might not know all his statistics or records, but they're living his legacy every time they carry the puck up the ice, trying something new, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in hockey. The game has changed a lot since Bobby Orr first stepped on NHL ice. It's faster, more skilled, more technical. But the spirit of innovation he brought to hockey lives on. Every time a defenseman joins the rush or makes a spectacular play, they're following the path Bobby Orr cleared more than 50 years ago. Some people change the record books, some change the way a position is played, but only a very few, like Bobby Orr, change the entire sport itself. The boy from Parry Sound who flew through the air that day in 1970 didn't just play hockey. He showed us what hockey could be. And for that, the game will forever be in his debt. The legacy of Bobby Orr isn't just about what he did on the ice. It's about showing that with enough passion, skill, and courage, one person can revolutionize an entire sport. His story reminds us that sometimes the most revolutionary acts come not from trying to change the game, but from playing it the only way you know how, with all your heart.